Hi guys, we're hoping that this works the second try. We're inside of a coffee shop in Minnesota, and we're inviting you into this session where we're going to talk a little bit about hemochromatosis and hair testing. A lot of people have had questions about hair testing, hair tissue mineral analysis, and we're here to go over a few things and share a story. So I'm going to introduce, this is Pam.
Hi,
Say hi to Pam. And Pam, you're from?
Floodwood.
Floodwood is a city in Minnesota, and Pam's got land and she's all set up so she can grow her food. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Pam. See if I can sit up a little bit more. So I'm sure if you guys can hear me, I hope that you can. Pam has let me know she's comfortable with a few details about what's going on. Bless up, Kim. Pam is 64 years young. She lives in Floodwood, Minnesota, and she was diagnosed through her primary care physician 10 years ago with hemochromatosis. I'm going to let her share with you about her story, but I'm going to give you a little thumbnail quickly. So Pam came to me for a massage, and Pam has sent several people to me. I've worked on as well, I think, 3 of your family members.
Yeah.
Okay. Over the 16 years, part of those 16 years that I've been in business. So she was diagnosed. She additionally went to go see an endocrinologist and a naturopath, and I convinced her to do a hair tissue test. We found some great answers. So before I go too fast, I'm going to turn it over to Pam and let her tell you a little bit about her story with hemochromatosis.
I don't care.
Well, I went to my main doctor because I noticed I was gaining some weight, and she put me on a thyroid medicine. And then probably about 6 months of using that, I started noticing that I was losing my hair. And so I went back into her. But before that, I had quit taking it because I figured that must be what's causing it. But so I went in, and she didn't really say anything on what would be causing it. And then she did some blood tests, and she said I had hemochromatosis, and it was hereditary. And the only thing they told me was that I could give blood to get the iron out of me and just donate blood. So they set it up so I could donate blood whenever I wanted to. But it didn't seem to help as far as getting my hair back. And so I had talked to Karen, and I tried a naturopath that my boss had went to because her daughter was born and didn't have hair. And so we were trying to work together in yet different ways to find out what would be fixing each of us. So she sent me to a naturopath, and I've been going to him for probably 2-3 years, but it still hasn't fixed anything as far as me getting my hair back. So I decided to go to Karen and see if this hair testing would do anything to let me know on what's happening. And we ended up finding out quite a few things on how high I am on stuff. And it kind of goes somewhat with the naturopath, but yet it kept changing. Other than he would stick to the fact that it's my thyroid, my stomach, what has given me the problems.
I really appreciate that. So if you've never heard of hemoglobin, chromatosis, what's really going on, and I've really struggled, especially in a small town when you're not known as the doctor, to say we have a way to find the root cause. Now, the naturopath was correct in one instance in that preceding a diagnosis I hope that you can hear me. It's kind of loud in here. Preceding her diagnosis of hemochromatosis that she received 10 years ago from her primary doctor, she did have a thyroid issue. In fact, all of the members of her family have, whether it's diagnosed or not, a thyroid condition. And many of you have had a thyroid condition, and depending on how severe your own mother's thyroid condition was at the time she was carrying you, has a lot of gravity, right, on your future constitution and your health, both physical and mental. So the good thing is, anytime you have a health situation, we're going to factor in the integrity of your gut. We don't have to go into all these fancy Harry Potter words. I read all these medical abstracts. I've had my own subscriptions to the Lancet and New England Journal of Medicine in my early 20s, but I break it down in plain, straightforward English, okay? Now, Pam was ignored, and she was told to just go keep giving blood. Now, that is a part of what Panchakarma recommends in Ayurveda, because I've studied Ayurveda almost 20 years ago, and it's legit, and I support it in the sense that it kept the iron levels down in the hemoglobin. However, it seems like everyone got louder. However, what's really going on is that Pam has an enormous amount of iron being stored in her liver, okay?
Right.
And the way that I found that out was when we do her test, Pam's got an email and a beautiful patient report of about 8 pages. It's stapled with a cover. And as her practitioner, doctor, practitioner approved by Dr. Watts, I get a copy of her report. And you can see from her report here, if you look at it closely, that her copper levels are way down. I'm going to hold it for just a moment so you can see. And what you're looking for is the blue side, and you're looking where it says CU. Her copper levels are down. So if you've heard me speak before about the ratios, your copper and your zinc have to really be matching or close to each other. Otherwise, when your zinc starts getting really high, you go into things like Parkinson's and mental rigidity. If you've got, I'll show here, the sodium and potassium levels, it means that your client might have a harder time and might be more addicted to food or alcohol or people. She might know they're bad for her, and she's shaking her head yes. And this is not something uncommon. It's in almost every family now. And your diet is going to contribute to having more of an addictive personality like Dr. Watts has taught me. So I'll let you take a look at that, okay? So take a look here, okay? Now the red side here, if you can take a look at that, I'll show you real quick. I was able to see that her aluminum, her cadmium, and her arsenic are all elevated. So her body's holding on to toxic elements, okay? And we usually will often call them heavy metals because atomically they're heavier on the body and they're a heavier burden. So what we want to do is I wanted to gather with Pam, find out what has she done, what has she taken, how does she eat, right? Ask her several questions, and the gathering process also includes getting this hair test done. Now, when you go through the hair test, you're going to find out that Pam is a slow metabolizer number 3, okay? Now, you can be a slow 1, 2, 3, or 4, but by the time you get to slow number 3, your body's going, I've been suffering for so long. You're not giving me what I need. You're not coming to my rescue. So now what I'm going to do is pretty soon I'm going to start going really fast, and I'm going to start going into hyper. So you're going to lose your hair. You're going to maybe start having heart palpitations. Have you had?
Right, yeah, I did.
Okay. So when I review these things with Pam and many, many, many other people, right? And I tell them, I can help you. They're not used to going to someone who's really, really honestly going to give them help. They're going to charge them, but they can't hold their hand through the process when it comes to all these food chemicals and getting their thyroid and getting their heart and getting their fluid retention down. And as a practitioner, when you're regenerating someone, you need to very carefully go through the gathering phase, and the hair test is a crucial part of the gathering phase. So this is why when I say everyone needs one, it's extremely important. Now, Pam was recommended all throughout this report, which she could read and I could read, that she needed copper to bring her copper levels up, to give her energy, to help her body fight some of the infection, and to be able to help her liver to start to mobilize out some of that iron. Now, whether you have sickle cell anemia, which is a calcium-related issue on your hair test, and I'll show you how it affects the outside of the cell. I've done my research. I have research for hours every day of my life. So I'm going to show you, I'm way beyond food and health food and hair testing, but these are small parts of what I put into my medicine bag of 35 years. Your hair test is going to be like Pam's, and it might have a small list, and it might have, for a lot of people, a really, really big list. Pam's was, while the doctors were telling her, and this was something I explained to Pam in our session, the doctors told her she had too much iron. Her body was starving for iron because it was all sitting in her liver. My job was to help her safely mobilize and excrete the liver. Do you see the difference? Instead, she was told by all these people that she paid out of her pocket for years, 10 years, just go give blood. So what was she going to do? Just keep on and keep on and keep on giving blood and keep on being a person that has no body hair at all? None. I also shared with Pam why her diagnosis has everything to do, just like in my own case, with what's going on with her children and her grandchildren. Without going into their personal lives and respecting them, they have their own situations just like my own. My family does, and your families likely do too, right? So in Pam's case, it was anemia, depression, hypercholesteremia. I'm going to keep explaining this, so if you missed it on another, and if you've heard it before, you can just say thumbs up. I get it. I know that already, Karen. Stop. But when your body starts going from a slow metabolism and having problems and communicating and going, help me, help me, help me, help me, and you don't bring real help because you're not getting it from the real root, you're going to start to make a lot of excess cholesterol because your body's going, what am I going to possibly make hormones from? And this is why when your doctor will test you for vitamin D, there's no such thing as a vitamin D test. And there's no such thing as a vitamin D pill. But your health food people and your natural food stores are making a fortune on this because the doctors are still telling people to do things that are actually harmful. So your health trend section will look like Pam's here, and it will show you between 0 and 8. And Pam is lucky and fortunate and diligent because hers is really short. And for a lot of people, I get a very long list, and we just start working through it. And it's not that difficult. Okay? So it tells her all the contraindications on this page, what she should not be doing. Okay? And it told her that she needed to get on the copper. There are supplements that you can buy from, I've never sold them, but I'm not closed-minded to that. And then I recommended for Pam that something that's really amazing that a lot of people don't think about was to get yourself some copper jewelry. This one, for example, I got for $20 on Amazon. You can put it on your wrist, You can find other people on Facebook. I think Dana Swint and a few others make jewelry out of copper, and your bloodstream is absorbing the copper that way. It's beautiful even when it's tarnished. So one other thing here, let's see. Pam, I'm going to also have her tell you a little bit about how she started to have a loss of smell and taste and her story behind that too.
Yeah, so when I lost my hair and stuff, I noticed that my smell, I couldn't smell everything, just certain things, which I still can only just smell certain things, like different essential oils. And I guess in a way it kind of saved me from smelling some stuff, but and then my taste wasn't quite all there neither. I noticed that I couldn't taste some of the food I was eating, but yet I was just eating it.
What did the doctors offer you to do about that?
Yeah, doctors didn't give me any information on it. I kind of read in my essential oils that there's certain oils that you can put on your tongue that's supposed to help with it, to bring back your taste.
And I thank you. I have informed Pam that actually you lose your sense of taste and smell, which is happening to people all over the place. A lot of other people are getting excessive sweating. They call it hyperhidrosis. Some people say, gee, I don't sweat at all. No matter what I do, I just don't even sweat. All of these are coming from Dr. Watts was the first person many, many decades ago, way before I started, to tell people that your trace elements are your spark plugs. If you don't have spark plugs that work well and they're not gapped right for your car is not going to go anywhere. Your body's the same way. It's going to give you symptom after symptom after symptom, whether it's headaches, sweating, loss of smell and taste, or your sight, having to wear glasses, or in my case, I'm extremely photophobic because of being born with a very, very severe thyroid issue that was never diagnosed. So one other thing is one thing that's extremely antagonistic, meaning you don't want to do it, and antagonizes, like a person is antagonizing you. You don't want them to do it, is the wrong thing for Pam right now, because I sold Pam a $20 bottle of liquid ionic copper, which I rarely do unless someone really, really, really needs that copper. And you don't want to give someone who's got to do copper therapy a lot of vitamin C, because vitamin C will take and use up all of her copper. Okay? So I could put her on it for her immune system, but the copper is going to go in and it's going to start remediating any yeast, candida, yeast infections vaginally or in other areas of the body, no matter what it is. So we're going to balance her out so she gets her sense of taste back. But she had really, really compromised sleep. And I'm going to ask her to tell you what happened within 3 days of taking how many drops did you do? The 15 or 30?
15. Yeah.
So the recommendation is 30 drops in water. But I mentioned copper is really powerful. And the bottle's going to last you months, right? So for $20, I keep it affordable. It was $125 plus $20. So she's putting that at a half dose right now of 15 drops in her water, just plain, clean, filtered water. And what happened within a couple days of taking that?
I ended up going to sleep, and I had this really weird dream, and I remembered all of it and taped the whole thing up and sent it to Karen, because it was just like 3 different stories in it that all came together or whatever. But it was really weird.
So, what's really important is that a lot of times people are degenerating because they don't have deep sleep cycles. You've seen me talk about how with a close family member being addicted to heroin and fentanyl, that the stress hormones that are produced when we don't sleep will give you puffy eyes, especially if you use wheat with it. It will pack weight on your body. You have to sleep. And if you don't sleep, a lot of symptoms start to pile up. Weight gain, puffy eyes, aches and pains, immune system tanks, all these things happen. So Pam needed to regenerate. She needed to get the yeast down, the infections down. She needed to get her willpower back and get energy. She needed to start mobilizing some of the excessive iron in her liver. She didn't need me to give her a list of 10 things to do when she's already feeling overwhelmed. We talked about the fact that she had some brain fog.
Yeah.
Little, a lot, or?
Just a little, I guess.
Okay, a little bit. Super common. Almost everyone I work with has it. And in balancing these spark plugs and getting your hair test done, I'm going to be able to show you exactly why you have it and exactly what to do about it. Most of the time, I'm going to tell you, hey, go on over to the natural food store or go online and buy this and this, or maybe this, right? Which one sounds good to you? And let's start step by step to get you better, right? Just like I'm improving my eyes with the sun by going out and spending more time with my eyes, being able to tolerate the sun and less time with sunglasses. I know and I understand that whole thing. But I came in extremely photophobic because of my thyroid. Also, I didn't develop mammary gland tissue. I couldn't breastfeed. So I came very, very tall. I was 5'10" and a half. So many of these things, like I posted yesterday about dwarfism and giantism and smell and taste. And Pam and I live on the Masabi Iron Range. That means there's a ton of iron in the soil here. So if her thyroid wasn't getting what it needed and it was already pulling calcium out of her body, okay, take a look at the one on the end, was already pulling calcium out of her body to make thyroid hormone because she didn't give it iodine. She didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know when I was 12 years old and my mouth was filled with mercury amalgam fillings, and your mouth also had dental work done.
Yeah.
And I think, do you still have one left, or?
No, all my feelings are out of my mouth. Yeah.
Okay. So when I'm meeting with a client, I'm going to go over the results of the hair tissue testing, tissue that's no different than blood testing, but gives us, in my opinion, far better results. So, recommended the copper, talked about why. Briefly, just a touch, talked about what we're going to do in the future in sessions, like getting her gut completely fixed, getting another form of iron in. We talked about blackstrap molasses.
Right.
And how to use that in a tea or some energy balls that you can make really easily, or however you want to use it, so that Pam would start to give her body and her brain iron, start to grow hair again, and get enough copper in her system to take down the infections and get her body to say, okay, I'm going to get a break. I'm going to mobilize and excrete some of this iron that my liver is just holding on to. Because if you know anything about your liver is the seat of where it's going to take that cholesterol and make your hormones, okay? So, I don't know. Jackie says, I have one. I don't know if Jackie's still there. Do you guys have any questions for Pam or for me while we're still here?
What's that?
People watching.
Oh.
Do you guys have any questions? You did a great job.
Oh, okay.
It's hard being on video the first few times because you're like, oh.
Right.
Oh, a copper bracelet. Awesome. So these are like $20. A lot of people are making copper jewelry. A lot of not everyone needs copper, and the thing about copper jewelry is it's so subtle. But if someone has a strong mental health diagnosis, bipolar, schizophrenia, a lot of moods, a lot of watery. A copper personality is a very watery personality. There's someone that'll cry at the drop of a hat. That's how you'll know someone is excessive in copper. And the way you take that down is to get the hair test and make sure first. But then I'm going to probably use zinc to help to balance them. So I don't know, what can you use to get, oh, okay. So see, Pam had sleep issues. A lot of my clients have type 2 insomnia. And when I get their hair test, I'm able to look at the email report and say, okay, here's exactly why you're not sleeping. So you can go and take a product like Tranquil Sleep, which is one of my favorite. It works for almost everyone. And it's all amino acids. It's suneathine and melatonin and 5-HTP. And it's $6.75 for a little bottle of the chewable wafers. Don't get the pills. Get the chewable wafers. They work really good. Didn't you take that one time, or?
No, I've not. I haven't tried that. Yeah.
Give it 1 minute. It's noisy with the thing for a minute. So my number one recommendation backing up would be KAL, Calbran, magnesium glycinate, and you would take 2 of them for a total of 400 milligrams per night. Magnesium helps you to rid toxic heavy metals out of the body, and it soothes your central nervous system. And Pam learned that from me many years ago.
Yeah.
Many years ago. I don't remember how long you started coming, but
yeah, it's probably been since I had this.
So
that I just for the massage or whatever.
Yeah. So probably, and we had a couple of wellness sessions.
Right.
Yeah. Probably about 10 years that Pam's been coming to me, and I just saw her daughter from the cities and her other daughter here too. So magnesium glycinate for sleep, Jackie, and a total of 400 milligrams every single night. And the only reason you would want to not take that is if you had like a lot of loose stools. It's gonna move your stools, but the glycinate type of magnesium soothes the whole body and the central nervous system. Aside from that, natural Tranquil Sleep by Pharma Natural Factors is a chewable wafer, and it's a 3-component of amino acids, so it's brain food and it relaxes the body. So, Kim, are you still here too? And have you guys ever heard of hemochromatosis before? Because until 10 years ago, I had never heard of hemochromatosis. Is there anything else you want to add?
No.
No. Okay. So you're sleeping better. Is there anything else you noticed? She has dream recollection, which indicates deep sleep cycles are coming back, which means the brain is starting to reset itself, and the nervous system, because when you're a slow metabolizer, she's a slow number 3, it means that her body's getting ready to go into hyperthyroid. So she had stopped taking synthetic thyroid. So if I can have Pam stay off wheat and dairy was the recommendation. And I know that's really difficult because it's everywhere you go and everyone's house you go to.
Right.
Something made out of wheat. But wheat and dairy, not too much vitamin C, and to get up to her 30 drops a day of copper. Then as this iron starts to drop down, and she could go back to her doctor if she doesn't have to pay out of her pocket and get a hemoglobin, an iron test. And then we would start working on, when I see that she's ready, we'd start working on the iodine and selenium and start getting some more vitamin C and start getting some silica and some sulfur so that she can regrow her hair and her collagen and her connective tissue, because if she's lost her hair, she's also had a hit on her connective tissue. And I don't know if that's been felt by you at all, or that your joints felt kind of weird, or
You mean like they kind of,
rubbery or stiff, or
I don't know, they've always made some kind of noise.
okay.
I mean, once in a while, but
Okay. So what I want to do is get her collagen, connective tissue, her joints, her hair, her blood, and everything fixed up. And I can do the same thing with sickle cell, with rheumatoid arthritis, with type 1 diabetes. Don't be afraid and don't listen. Pam knows, and she's here to tell you that they've told her for over 10 years it's hereditary and there's nothing you can do about it. And they did the same thing to me with Gilbert syndrome, which is where you make excess bilirubin. And through working with Dr. Watts and through all my study, I found by researching and confirmed it with Dr. Watts that it had everything to do with my body trying to dump all of that heavy load of mercury and copper. So this is a really big deal. I did not have a genetic predisposition to Gilbert syndrome. My brother did too, and my brother's dying from thyroid cancer right now. And I really, really wish that, I know you appreciated Dr. Sabi, and I appreciate Baba Dr. Sabi, and I give thanks for him. I respect him. Professor Arnold Ehret, Professor Hilton Hotema, Aries Latham, and all of the many people that have given us so much. But give someone a chance that you might be able to heal yourself, to feel better, to sleep again, to potentially grow your hair back even after 10 years of a diagnosis. Because we trust these people inherently and with great allegiance, because there are doctors and they've got a building and they wear a white jacket. But it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to do anything for you. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to read these. They've never studied it. And they basically have no interest because they're really not allowed to. They have to state a protocol. They have to stay and keep doing, just like Pam and I have talked for many years about animal control. The animal shelter was stealing animals, including Pam's puppies. Okay, and everyone is out looking for money today, but very few people are actually really looking to find the solution. And to do that, you have to go to the root. Okay, so thank you for joining us. I'm going to say so long. Let Pam say goodbye.
yep, we'll see ya.
All right, be sure and share this. And I hope that you will get your own hair test done. I'll drop the link here a little bit later. So long.